All right, we are back on Morning Line. Thanks for joining us, talking about Nashville Next. That's the next up for Nashville. What's going to happen, the future of the city, how it affects us all. With us this morning from the Metro Planning Department's Craig Owesnby and also Jeff Syracuse. Yeah, you a volunteer with Nashville Next?
I am. I'm the co-chair of the Community Engagement Committee.
Getting the folks involved.
Right.
Yeah. Thank you both for coming on this morning. Hey, we have Mike that waited through the break. Let's take a call from him. Good morning, Mike.
Hey, Nick. Hey, I'm the guy that kind of really worries you about the homeless.
Sure.
I hate to bother them, but I understand that you had two gentlemen on there, and I was wondering if I maybe could meet with them and tell them kind of what I told you that I want to do in Nashville with the homeless is get them bigger, much building, and help them get jobs and education. And like I told you how they do out in L.A. When they feed over 2,000. I mean, I know they got the rescue mission and loaves and fish and the Roseanne, but I told you how my heart was to help them get jobs and education.
Sure.
And get a building and call it Life-Changing Music City Learning Center. And I talked to the lady before she put me on with you, and she has my number, and I just wanted these guys maybe could call me back and I could meet with them and with my pastor and make a difference in Nashville for the homeless, and I'll hang up. Thanks for your time, Nick.
Oh, sure, Mike. Listen, I appreciate it. He's called in before, and that's a real, I think, cause close to his heart. So, and homelessness is something we should touch on as well.
Yeah, well, certainly some of the housing affordability situation.
That ties into that. So, what about the homeless issue? I mean, I don't know. I mean, it's dealt with, and we do have the mission and all of that. I mean, has that been addressed in any of this to this point much?
Not specifically as a homelessness issue.
Okay.
But
it's more the affordable
housing and development in appropriate ways. Yeah, for sure. Let's get his number, and when we get through here this morning, I'll call him.
Okay, Mary has that. So what? I'm curious. Like when we see the Gulch and some of these other places where the growth is happening and new items are being built, where are the people going that maybe can't afford it anymore that are getting pushed out?
That's one of the big issues, and one that we're actually working on right now.
Yeah.
So.
Just, I mean, I guess when you say that, they're being displaced because they can't afford some of that, and they move to some of the outer-lying areas, and then look for more affordable housing. But even that, and even rental properties are more expensive. Part of it, it's unfortunate that happens, but it's happening for a good reason. It's such a desirable place to live.
Yeah, and how do you help someone who's been in their house for 60 years?
Yeah.
The value goes up, the property taxes go up, they get a good offer to sell.
Yep.
And where do they go?
Right.
And that's something it's a moving target, and we're studying it right now.
All right, we have I think a graphic that we can put up that shows the top 5 priorities. I think Mary Elena was telling me that we can throw up, and maybe you can walk us through some of those, Jeff. The community priority, is this based on what people have told you to this point over the 3 years to now?
Yes, 17,000 people who have been involved over the past few years. Affordable living, the difference between affordable housing, from more of a technical term, to housing affordability. What's that threshold? 30%. If you're spending more than 30% of your income on housing, then you're burdened.
Yes.
So we need to have more housing affordability. Transit obviously is a huge issue.
Both those, right?
But then growing economy, walkable neighborhoods. Talking to our first caller was asking about the suburbs. We need more walkable neighborhoods out in Davidson County.
Or more walkability in general.
What does that mean? More sidewalks?
More sidewalks, more places to walk to.
Parks?
If you could walk to school, if you could walk to the grocery store, if you could walk or ride your bike to work.
Great.
We call it a city of smaller distances, where you don't have to drive way over here to go to the grocery store and way over there to take your kids to school. Try and have it more compact.
All right, and then strong neighborhoods, I guess does that tie into all that? What's the difference between, strong neighborhoods, maybe a walkable neighborhood, but just strong neighborhoods, does that address issues of like crime and things like that?
Sense of community.
Okay.
A sense of being a neighborhood rather than just a collection of houses.
All right. Most of these things, to improve them, what's the costs involved? Does that, you guys take into account any of that?
This is not the kind of plan where you say we're going to spend X amount of money to do Y.
Probably a wise move there.
Well, what we're trying to do here is set some guidelines for both public and private investment in the future.
Okay.
Rather than to come up with a specific program and put a specific price tag on it, because you can't really do that. It changes too much.
Well, when you look at like some of the most recent things that we built in Nashville, I guess the baseball stadium, right? And then of course, the Music City Center, and we just had the NRA convention, which was huge, and I guess brought a lot of money into the area. So big projects like that, I almost get the sense as I look around the city, we're done with something that huge for a while. To me, I think about focusing more on neighborhoods and stuff.
Personally, I hope so, and I think that speaks well, you know, I think it speaks to the tier 1 areas on the map over the next 10 years, focusing on public investment in those areas, so that you make them more conducive to the private development that's hot right now, which is this mixed-use, multifamily, walkable areas. So Donaldson, Antioch, Madison, and various other areas that we're going to look at making them more attractive to private development.
Yeah, exactly. So, but it's infrastructure then, and that's what I was talking about. You remember for a while there, you know, we had Mayor Bredesen.
Right.
You know, we had Dell going, and then we had all the stuff going with the football stadium and all that. Then, you know, so a lot of growth, and then all of a sudden you had Mayor Purcell, and he comes in. I thought Purcell was more like, all right, we've grown a lot, and yeah, while there were some new things built in his watch, it was more neighborhoods, education, sidewalks. You know, it just goes in trends. And I think under, you know, Dean, I mean, we've kind of gotten back to more growth to some degree. So I don't know, we're about to elect a new mayor. I'm just wondering, you know, I mean, you think the mayoral candidates are looking at this?
I'm certainly are. We have briefed most, if not all of them, so far.
Have you?
And a lot of council candidates.
I was going to say the council candidates as well.
And we've had conversations with the mayoral candidates just to make sure they understand where this is coming from.
Good. I mean, hold up that map we were talking about during the break, and we can have our intern Dallas just kind of zoom into it. But we should say there are community plans that are specific to each community. So depending, if you're watching us right now and you want to find out what's planned maybe and how it differs from someplace else, yeah, take a look at that. So what is this again?
These are plans that have been around, or the planned areas that have been around for probably close to 20 years. And we've had the county divided into 14 parts for community planning purposes. And part of Nashville Next involves updating each plan in each community. Previously, we'd done each one every 7 to 10 years. They've all gotten overhauled with the new land use policies. And you can go to that webpage, again, NashvilleNext.net, and there's a list of all the community plans. You can look at your area and see what the plan is for it.
Now, okay, for instance, you tell me, Jeff, that you're from Donaldson.
Right.
Right. All right, so that's the big blue one there. If you're looking at it, it's on the right side of the screen. You can point to it. And all right, so for instance, give me an idea of, like, in your plan there, what kind of things have you paid attention to, or what's in Donaldson Hermitage?
Well, yeah, the Donaldson Hermitage Old Hickory plan. It looks at all of the various areas. It takes into account where Donaldson is, that say the quarter-mile area around that train station is transferring from a more of an auto-centric development pattern to more of an urban, walkable pattern. But it looks at transit lines. It looks at the zoning where things are more conducive for development. It looks at all of that.
Looking at redoing the old downtown Donaldson.
Yeah. Well, you guys have, and you have the Greenway and stuff, and you have that whole stretch along Lebanon Road down from the Donaldson Y and back. And what kind of things may go up along there, you know? And then you also wonder too, during some of the flooding, you know, that Target's there down the way from the YMCA, and you wonder about that big parking lot, the floodplain, and
well, and then we've got that about 600 acres or so new park, the Stones River Bend Park, I believe now it's going to be called. That thanks to Mayor Dean, that we got about 3 years ago. So we have to look at developing that park into basically a regional park for the eastern side of the county.
Right.
So that's going to be exciting.
Which again is like you were saying, Craig, you have something like that then to walk to or go to. Every single one of these areas needs something like that.
Well, you know, for so many years, the way that cities grew was to grow out. And you used to get what they call drive to qualify. Get in the car and go out until you can get a loan on a house and then buy it and go out further. But with the energy situation, what it's becoming, and with the population growth, what it's becoming, there's a need to be more compact, to grow more up. And to make it, again, as I said, a city of smaller distances where you don't have to drive clear over here.
That's what you want, avoid the traffic. That'd be great. Yeah. That would just become a reality on that. Listen, we'll take a break on that note. If you're on hold, stay there. We'll get to your phone calls, continue our conversations, your vision for the future of Nashville, and if you have one, you got to share it with these guys. We'll be back with more right after this.